Hi, this is Chris Legaspi, and in this video, we're going to talk about design and composition, and I'm going to share some of my top exercises that I use to level up my design and composition skills. And make sure to stay to the end of the video, because I will show you how I use very simple composition thumbnails to create more story and impact, and how you can use them to create more impact in your own work and improve your composition. And before we begin, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to my free Insiders Club. Insiders Club members get first access to these weekly live streams, and you also get access to other live events, and you get discounts on courses and programs, along with access to free lessons and other free content available only to subscribers. So all you have to do is go to www.drawwithchris.com, and there you can enter your email and you'll be good to go.
A lot of what we're going to talk about today is something I learned from a book called Picture This. It's called Picture This by Molly Bang, and it's a very easy to read book, and it's very simple. And what I like about it is it talks about something that introduced to me for the first time is psychology, how these shapes actually trigger old memories and emotions that are buried deep inside every human being. These are all memories from embedded in our DNA and our ancestral memory. It's 140 pages long. It's very easy to read. I suggest, please read it. It's easy to read. Exercises are easy to do. They're very fun, in my opinion. So please read it, and then you can discuss with me any questions you may have, or any ways you may want to expand upon the book. So picture this. All right, what are the functions of good design? Well, what is design? What is composition? To me, it's basically arrangement. So we're basically arranging elements. And what are the elements we have? We have lines. We have shapes. We have tones. Tones, gradations, tone masses. Obviously, we have color too. But we're not going to talk about color today. We're going to talk about line and shape, specifically abstraction. So for me, what is the purpose of good design? What is the goal? Is to say more with less. We want to say more with less. Say more with less. So how can we communicate a lot of stuff, ideas, story, narrative, emotions, feelings, with less stuff, less work, less junk, less detail? How do we do that? One way we could do that is with psychology, which is why I mentioned Molly Bang. She covers it very elegantly. And psychology is basically old feelings, emotions, memories and emotions, memory of human beings. So these are some of the things that we have buried within us in all of our psychology, in all of our DNA, in all of our memory. We have these ancestral memories, and we can trigger these things with shape. So we're going to focus on using abstract shape, and that's the key word here, is abstraction. Abstraction. If I could summarize today's lesson into one word, and that is abstraction. For me, the whole world of composition opened up for me. I truly understood composition for myself, and I understood how to use it effectively, how to say more with less, once I started to appreciate and understand abstraction. And of course, you're watching this, you're probably a realist just like me. Of course, I'm a realist. I make realistic art. I make portraits and figures and things like that, of course. But when we design our things, we want to call or use abstraction as the core foundation of our design, regardless if we're drawing a detailed figure or a portrait. And the beauty of abstraction is we can use abstraction to trigger the psychological ancient ancestral memories. So we can use abstraction as a primary tool to trigger psychology. And psychology is how we say more with less. So we get more punch. Basically, we get more impact with abstraction. So we first must understand how to design or compose abstractly. And that's right here, my friends. Hope that makes sense. So abstraction is the goal today. I'm going to show you how I look at abstraction, how we can use abstraction, and how it works, and then how we can improve abstraction. So I just want to cover abstraction, the basics first, so that you know what's important. So we know that we need line and shape. Before we do that, let's talk about shape. Shape and psychology. One of the most basic things is that straight things have very different emotional or psychological impacts on the viewer. Straight things and curved things. We know that this is generally, in a most simplistic way, this is masculine. This is feminine. Square, straight, corners, masculine, rigid, feminine, soft, curved. So we know that square, rigid things, soft, curvy things. Soft and round, curved things. Same with line. We know that these lines, that's a masculine line. This is a feminine line. This is a masculine line. This is a feminine line. See? Two totally different feelings very easily. And let's talk about positive and negative emotions. Let's talk about fear, love, or joy, for example. So when we practice, strong emotions are easier for us to design. So we want to practice using strong emotions. So love, joy, fear. So let's say we wanted to take something that means that's more positive, love, loving, joy. Well, would you use this or would you use this? I'd probably use this. So let's say I have a picture here. And I want to communicate something that means joy. Well, I could probably do something like this. One circle, right? We know this shape already. You can see that shape already. You see? And maybe if we want to elicit fear with shape alone and no tone, well, one thing I could do is I could take my box and turn it on a corner. Now, that doesn't quite seem very fearful. We need more context. But as you can see, just by this simple abstraction alone, you know that this is generally something positive-ish. Just with what we have, even if you don't see this, you go, okay, that's generally something good, something light. This is generally something, it's a point. We know what points mean, right? Speaking of psychology, we know what this means, right? You know what this means. Very sharp, pointy thing. I don't have to explain. You know what psychology is there. We generally don't want this. This is generally something scary. So right away, we have very simple things that we can trigger emotions with. And as you can see all the attributes here. Balance, masculine, harmony, symmetry, perfection. Sun, God, creation, feminine, portal, magic, infinity, perfection. Stability, supportive, wisdom, trinity, divinity, converging, vanishing point. what I wrote here, these are all traits and qualities that the audience will give to your picture just by using a square, circle, or triangle. So, in this basic sense, we can say a lot with just these three basic shapes. So that's what I would do. That's what I did. I thought, okay, if a square can do all these things, how many compositions can I make with just a square? How many compositions can I make just with a circle to communicate some ideas? And that's basically the first step to abstraction. So let's try, and then we'll look at some examples. So I'm only going to use two shapes, square and a circle, and I'm going to try to tell a positive story. And I'm going to try to communicate some psychology. When we have a picture, if I do this, just put a rectangle, or I do this, right? What emotion do you feel? What emotion do you think I'm trying to communicate? Well, I'm trying to communicate calmness and stability. Because when you put a horizontal line in a picture, the first thing human beings think of, remember ancestral ancient memory, is the earth, the horizon, land. So we know that land is stable, that's our friend. Land is our home. Land is good. So these are very simple examples of positive emotions with just rectangles. Now, if I want to make a slightly more dramatic story, maybe the moment I do this. How do you feel now? Do you feel stable? Clearly, things have changed in our land, in our earth plane, in our world, you see? Psychologically, we know this represents us standing on land. And we know, okay, we're at an angle. This is way different than this. So you see, just by taking a square, adding an angle, we already can communicate a lot. This, to me, says a lot, and we can put it in a picture. So let's keep playing with the basic landscape. So how do you feel now? I'm going to use the basic landscape principle. How do you feel in these without any context, without any tone, just a rectangle and a circle? How do these make you feel? Generally positive, right? We look at this, we go, oh, obviously it's abstract, and obviously I'm alluding to a landscape, to the earth, sky, and sun. So without context, without value, just in line and abstraction, we could see something generally good, generally positive. Now, can we take this and communicate something more negative? Maybe. Let's see. Well, what if we do this? So we took the rectangle, we just rotated it, right? Boop, 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 boop. It's still a rectangle. But now we have still quite an uplifting scene. Actually, this kind of uplifts us. The triangle lifts us up. You see, it's basically an arrow. Boop, 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 boop. It lifts us up, lifts our spirits up. We lift our eyes up. We lift our feelings up when we look at this kind of picture. We generally something good. How can we turn this idea into a negative? Just a circle and a square. Comment below. Do you have an idea? More of a negative idea, more of a fearful idea. You're watching in real time me growing as a composer. I'm stretching myself using abstraction. I'm like, I'm trying to think of some ideas now. And I'm using the most simple framework of a basic landscape, the earth, sky, and sun to communicate something negative. Can go like this. Check this out. Whoop. Way down in the horizon and go like this. So we know the sun may be going down. That's kind of a lonely scene. So it's not quite negative, but feels quite isolated. This is how I feel. Isolated. You see, I'm like really small in the picture. I'm way down in the corner. There's all this stuff, all this space, and I'm far away from the center. What if we try angles? I just thought of this, angles. So it's not quite sad, but it's a bit more dramatic. It's way more dramatic, right? Now, obviously, one simple way to make this scene seem scarier is to add tone. Now, for sure, the moment we add a black, there's also psychology and value, of course. Once we add a black, you're like, oh crap, it's nighttime, I'm in trouble, I better go inside. But we can get a lot done here. And that's what we're going to do now. Let's take a look at some artists who are doing this, and let's see what we can learn from them. So this is Max Philip Parrish. You can clearly see the beautiful abstraction going on here. We see this right here. You see that? So this is essentially a landscape, and he reinforced it. And it's a landscape. He said, okay, landscape, 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 landscape. And look how wide it is. So you see how he is, to me, he is screaming at us, hey, relax, relax, calm, calm, relax, calm, relax, calm, relax, calm, sleep, lie down, relax, sleep, lie down. A horizontal rectangle is a psychological equivalent of lying down. So it can mean death, it can mean a coffin, it can mean sleep. So calmness, lying down, over and over and over. And just to make it even more obvious, he put a figure there. So you see, uh, 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 over and over. Even here, you see, he's reinforcing. He's saying, lie down. He's basically telling us, relax, chill, lie down, chill. And of course, he has these other elements for contrast and interest. But really, the big element is this bottom section here, and of course, beautiful frame. The framing element of these long, beautiful columns. This whole framing element. And I just caught this too. And it's in the center. So this thing is dead center. Center also means stability and calmness. Not the figure, but the compositional frame. So he's forcing you, and look at these lines. Look at these lines. He's forcing you to look here, actually. He's forcing you to look here. What he's telling you, this is so brilliant. He's telling you to calm down, chill, relax, calm. See, look at this beautiful, soft, calming stuff behind. See, that's so calm, so pretty, soft, bright, wonderful light. We're like, wow, wow. If we were in this scene, if this were a real place and you walked into this place, I guarantee you would feel really calm and nice and happy. Like, wow, this is a nice, calm, chill, cool place. So the center framing, so that's another topic, is placement of things. That's a whole other topic, but you'll learn that in the Molly Bang book, so please read that. And then the use of the strong rectangle. And just a quick look at Howard Pyle, one of the masters of composing, in my opinion, like I mentioned. And of course, look at this powerful, powerful, straight, and of course, figures lying down. So, and they're dead. Obviously, this was a beautiful choice, and of course, the tones and the colors help. But in terms of abstract shape, this is a beautiful. He's basically telling you a story of death, death, somber, death, somber, death, somber. Remember, the rectangle shape means coffin, means a body lying down. Death, somber, death, somber, death. So over and over again, he's saying a lot with very little. There's nothing in this picture. This picture is 80% gray dirt or sand or whatever, and sky. It's 80% this. It's barely got nothing in it. But you notice how much of a story you can tell, how many emotions he can elicit. So that's what we want, my friends. And this is done by abstraction. Obviously, you put a dead figure, of course, but if you put a figure like that, it's not going to be the same. So he has to also design. So that's abstraction right there. So again, Maxfield Parrish, you could see the wonderful use of the circle and some vertical elements here. So this is what I see in the abstraction. When I look at this, I see there's obviously a circle. That's awesome. And it's bright. And it's and the figure, yes, there's a figure, but it's also quite bright. And yes, there's some elements in there, but that's not really the story. The story is the figure. These little tree things, these are just distractions. There's like, oh, I didn't just make an abstract painting. I'm a realist, just like you. He's tricking us with detail, but it's actually an abstract design. And then I see a subtle thing here, subtle rectangle, kind of a rectangle-ish, and then a vertical children. So this is the abstract design that I see. The children are upright. When I see upright, they're pretty upright. They're like straight, their arms are tucked in. When I see upright figures without much movement, they're just standing straight. I see it's essentially this. It's a vertical rectangle, which creates a much different feeling, right, than a horizontal rectangle. So to me, this is a story about activity at night. This is a story about nighttime. Obviously, it's dark, it's at night. I don't know exactly what the story is. I should look it up. What the artist's intention was, but this is my interpretation, is he's essentially drawing the moon, people doing stuff at the moon, people moving around doing stuff. There's a lot of context here, so it's kind of distracting me. There's children thing, Peter Pan, the story of Peter Pan comes to mind. So the context is distracting my interpretation, yet without knowing the artist's intention. It's difficult to know how close I am to his interpretation. But that's abstraction, the circle abstraction. Obviously, there's other elements as well. But what we can do, here's a very simple assignment. We have to play with abstraction. So to practice, exercise number 1 is a strong positive, strong negative. So create one composition that's strong positive, and you're only allowed to use 2 shapes, no value, line only, any combination of any 2 shapes, line only. And we'll do this times 10. So 10 compositions, 10 strong positive, so 20 total, and 10 strong negatives. For example, let's say a strong positive, because the stronger emotions are easy to communicate. A strong emotion, let's say we did joy already. How about love? Love is a good one. Strong negative. So let's do the inverse of love. Anger. Oh. So only abstract shape. Now, we know there's lots of things we can do to communicate these emotions, right? We can use line and we can use tone, but see how far you can go with only abstract shape. So love, let's say, and make your composition square. You can only use 2 shapes, and I can use any 2 shapes. So love, I'm probably going to have to use a circle, right? I can use a square. So you see right now I'm like stretching. My brain is like, oh. In fact, I'm going to get a pencil so I can erase. This is fun. So this is how we strengthen our compositional muscles, our design muscles. So love. Love is calm. And love is uplifting. There you go. There you go, my friends. Calm. When you're in love, you feel calm. So remember, the power of the earth, the horizon basically, the horizontal rectangle is so powerful. Let's use it to say a lot with very little. With just one line, I can communicate 500 things right here. Awesome. And just with one line, I can communicate a shape that communicates another 500 things. So you see, my friends? Let's do one more. Then we'll go to anger. Love, love, love. Can I use a triangle? Probably not. It's too sharp, huh? It's too sharp. So I will need to use this and this again. Oh boy. So now I'm stretching. I'm like, well, that was pretty awesome. I can't do that twice. So now I'm really stretching. How can I communicate love with only this? You see, my friends? You see how... So this is... Right now, my brain is kind of hurting. I feel like I'm working out, you know? Working out at a gym. This is basically a gym, a workout for your compositional brain. My brain is stretching right now, and I haven't had coffee yet, so I'm in trouble. Oh! Oh, I got a couple ideas. Okay. So, cradle, sort of got this cradle, because love is like a hug. So I'm trying to hug you with my circle here. So love is like a hug. That's pretty cool. Okay, I got one more. I got one more idea before we move on to anger. How about this and this? And they're touching. So they're touching. Oh, you see, that feels like a hug. So that was cool. You see how I took a triangle. Well, it's kind of a square. It's also a square. But I took a triangle and turned it into a story about love. You see, that is cool. I'm right now. You can't see me, but I'm patting myself on the back. This is pretty awesome. I'm patting myself on the back for thinking of that. But that's pretty cool. You got to see in real time me grow as a composer, my friends. That was awesome. That was awesome. So if you also made some good compositions, pat yourself on the back. I know I did. That was a win. That was a win. This would be a killer composition. Imagine you could draw like a. This could be the lap of a figure, or grass. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a figure composition. So let's take anger. So now same thing. Same thing. We're going to take a strong negative. We can only use this and this and this. Look at that. Look at that. You know, when this composition popped in my head, this abstraction popped in my head, I thought about my father. I thought about the parent being angry at the kid. That's sort of what this abstraction represents. This sort of like angular, big angular shape that takes up a bunch of the frame. And this little tiny round baby shape in the corner. Oh, it's like a little baby. And then the parent. So you see I'm mad at the kid. This is fun. Wow. Am I crazy? This stuff is coming to me quickly. Honestly, I I don't know if it comes to you as quickly as it does to me, but I hope these exercises help because this to me is helping me, and I've been doing this for a long time. And a lot of this was inspired by Molly Bang. So anger, we can do a similar thing. Watch this. So it's sort of like, I'm pushing down. I'm so mad at you. I want to push you out of the canvas. I want to push you out of the frame. That's just, a rough idea. It's not that strong, but that's basically what I'm thinking here. And let's see if I can come up with one with the triangle. I'm going to force myself to use a triangle. That's going to be pretty easy. I'm really good at, or I enjoy triangle design, so I use them a lot. I like the idea of the triangle pointing at the circle. If I go like this, that's not quite angry. That's more like piercing and heavy and scary. It can be angry. Depends on the context. I'm having a tough time here. I'm trying to think of a triangle design, but I can't. Oh, so I'm a little stuck. So triangle up is positive. We don't want that. Triangle down is better. But this is too aggressive. That's why I like on the side. It's not super heavy and aggressive. It's more, I'll stick with this. Let's do a straight triangle. The thing on the side. So this looks like two people about to fight. One guy's like really staring at the smaller guy. You can even go like this. You can even do the exact same thing, but with a rectangle, you see? It's like a big guy staring down a small guy. He's really pissed at him. There you go. There you go. All right, so that's exercise number 1. See how far you can stretch yourself. And as you can see, it's not that easy. Sometimes you have to really stretch your mind and work. Please review the Molly Bang book so you can kind of understand some of the psychology, and review my course as well if you should have access to it. Okay, so that's a good stopping point here. So this is a good basic exercise to start with. In the next video, we'll talk about more exercises to get you going into a more of an abstract thinking mode. See you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.